Welcome to those who are joining us on the recording. We are going to be using weights this morning, and at one point you'll need either 2 blocks or a chair. And otherwise, we're going to get started. So let's make our way over to our mats. And we can begin sitting up or lying down as usual. So if you want to lie down, go ahead and lie back and put your feet on the floor. If you want to start sitting up, find a way to sit comfortably, rooting your sitting bones down and inviting your spine to be nice and upright so that we're not like leaning forward. We're aligned from sitting bones to the crown of our heads. And whether we're lying down or sitting up, taking our first few moments to really connect with the stability of the ground beneath us and feel that solidness, that steadiness, that connection that we have with the ground. And then letting the body relax into that foundation. So maybe closing your eyes or softening your gaze, drawing your awareness inward and checking in with your body. And noticing if you're holding on to any emotional tension in your physical body. So are you gripping or clenching? Are you holding any areas tight that could let go of that tension right now? And allowing that to take place. We often use our technique of softening the roof of the mouth, imagining the roof of the mouth broadening out towards the sides of the upper palate, towards the back of the head. Cultivating a feeling of spaciousness and ease. And let's create a little more space in our bodies by inviting a nice, full, deep, expansive breath in. And then allowing that breath to fully empty and release out. And we'll just practice some nice, deep breathing for a bit here. Letting the breath expand in, out, up. Allowing that breath the time and space that is required for a full emptying of breath. That diaphragm moving down as the big, full, expansive breath moves in. And then that diaphragm being allowed to fully release up at the bottom of the exhale once the breath has fully emptied. This type of breathing is very therapeutic. Starts to create movement in the body. And releasing the diaphragm is very calming to the nervous system. So breathe in and out deeply 1 or 2 more times. Maybe seeing if you can get that breath to move into areas of the lungs that it doesn't always move into. And as your next breath empties all the way out, you can begin to transition to a more natural breath. And before we begin our movement practice, let's just take a moment to recognize and acknowledge how we're doing today, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And with that awareness, let's set an intention to treat ourselves in an appropriate way this morning, in the way that we move, and the way that we engage with whatever activity we undertake. So this is our practice for this hour on our mat, to care for ourselves. And this might launch us into an entire day of caring for ourselves. It may also inspire us to offer more care to those around us. But for right now, for this next hour, really being mindful of our movement and moving in a way that is supportive for what we need. So that might mean not doing everything that everyone else is doing or modifying. So when you're ready, let's go ahead and open our eyes. If you're sitting up, go ahead and make your way to lying down. And let's begin by taking our feet off the floor and hugging knees into chest. As we hug the knees in, you can kind of sway a little side to side, giving that low back a little massage, just loosening up a bit here. And then as you sway to the center, take your hands and just press your knees wide apart. You get a nice little stretch, a little opening here. And then with your hands, continue to push your knees apart as you start to bring your knees in. So there's some resistance of your knees moving inward because your hands are pushing them apart. And then take your hands to the outsides of the knees. And as your knees open apart this time, let your hands be pushing inward. So there's some resistance to the legs opening wide. And then place your hands on the inside of the knees and resist the movement of the knees pulling in. So you're kind of working pretty hard to keep the knees from pulling in, but they come together. And then hands on the outsides of the knees, resisting the movement of the legs out with your arms. So do that a few more times, kind of waking up the inner thighs as they work to pull the knees in. And then waking up the muscles of the hips a bit by resisting the movement of the legs opening out. And let's just do that a few more times, resisting that inward movement and then resisting the outer movement. And two more. I've been doing this lately and I'm finding that it's effective in waking up the inner thighs. I don't know if it's as effective in the outer thighs, but it just depends on where you're stronger. All right, next time your knees come in, you can take a break and then lift your legs up in the air. You can let your arms drop to your side. So we're going to start to circle at the ankles. And as you're circling at the ankles, I'd like you to open into a straddle. So it's a little bit of coordination movement here. Can you circle your ankles as you open into a straddle? And then can you change direction on your circle and bring your legs back up? Kind of a different kind of movement. And once your legs are up, change direction on that circle and open into a wide leg straddle. And then change direction on your circle and bring your legs back up. We'll just do that one more time, continuing to work the inner and outer thighs here as we're loosening up the feet and the lower legs, changing direction on that circle as you bring your legs back up. All right, let's leave the legs up now, and we're going to lift our heads up a little bit off the floor, clasp our hands under our heads, take a breath in, and as we exhale, we'll curl up head, neck, and shoulders, knitting the ribs. As we curl up, let's drop the right leg down. We won't quite let it touch and twist across. And then we'll bring that leg back up as we inhale the head back. So we're going to exhale and curl up, lower the left leg and twist across, and then bring that leg up as you inhale the head back. Exhale, curl up, lower the right leg and twist across, inhale and come back down. Exhale, curl up, left leg lowers, and inhale down. So keep on lowering and twisting. And as you come up and twist across, don't just think about elbow to knee, but let's think about lifting that shoulder blade off the floor and twisting from the midsection. So can we bring the rib cage towards that opposite thigh? Exhaling to lift, inhaling back down, exhaling to lift, Inhaling back down. Let's do a few more of these. Starting to wake up the abdominal muscles here. Last one. Let's leave the legs up in the air, but we'll release our head to the floor. And actually take your arms just up. So you can have your palms facing. You can allow your shoulders to drop into the floor. This is just because I want us to keep our arms out of the next movement. We're going to take a breath in. And as we exhale, I want us to reverse curl, lift the hips, and then roll back out. So we're going to exhale to lift, inhale to roll out. Exhale to curl up, inhale to roll out. Often when we do this movement, we press down with the arms. So we just have our arms up in the air to kind of keep the arms from doing the work. So let's do a few more. Exhale to curl up, inhale to lower. Exhale to curl up, inhale to lower. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. One more time. Nice. Go ahead and release your feet to the floor. Let's take our arms to our side. We're going to move into a bridge pose now. So have your feet hip distance apart. Let's not turn our heads as we do this. So let's just look up at the ceiling, arms at our side, feet hip distance apart. We're going to begin to curl the pelvis up off the floor, curl the vertebrae up, and come up into a hip bridge with the weight coming onto the shoulders. Push into your feet, send your shins forward, take a breath here. And then as you exhale, just articulate your spine down. Just lower that vertebra by vertebra down, unfurling your spine. At the base of that movement, just let everything relax. We'll do that again. Pushing down with the feet, just start to curl the pelvis up, rolling up until the weight is more on the shoulders. The shins are moving forward. We'll take a breath at the top. And then we'll lower down slowly, articulating the spine, trying to feel each vertebra connecting with the floor one after the other. Eventually coming all the way down and letting the spine kind of move into its more neutral position. Then once again, we're going to roll back up, bringing the weight up onto the shoulders. Now, can you leave your right foot right where it is and take your left leg up in the air? And then we're going to lower that left leg straight out and down till it's a couple inches off the floor, and then lift that leg back up. So we're just going to lower that leg down, straight leg lowers, and then it comes back up. Again, lower that left leg down and lift it back up. Lower that leg down. So we can breathe in as the leg comes up. Breathe out as the leg lowers down. Maybe we can do this a couple more times. Lower that leg down and lift it up. Last one, lower that leg down, lift it up, and then we're going to plant that foot back where it was. Can you get your hips up a little higher and then take your right leg up in the air? So we inhale as the leg goes up. We'll exhale as that straight leg lowers down. Inhale to lift that leg up. Exhale to lower that leg down. Couple more like this. Lifting and lowering and lifting and lowering. Let's do two more. Up and down. Last one, up and down. We'll lift the leg up one last time and then plant that foot down, lift up into your bridge, taking a breath, and then we'll roll ourselves down out of that bridge, arriving in our neutral spine position. Just take a moment here to feel the floor under your low back, to let your spine relax, to take a deep breath in and out. And then let's go ahead and roll to our sides. So as we come onto our side, let's get our forearm, elbow right under the shoulder, and we'll try not to collapse into this. We'll push down and create some space from shoulder to ear. We're going to have our knees kind of on a little bit of an angle forward. We can put our top hand on our top hip. So there's going to be some options for this next movement. One option would just be to be here and be doing clamshell, lifting the knee and lowering the knee. The next layer is to lift the hips and then do that clamshell and then lower the hips down. And that's another option. The other option is to lift the hips, do the clamshell, and then lift the leg out. And then release the clamshell and lower down. So lift the hips, clamshell, extend the leg, release the clamshell, and lower down. So lots of options here. Again, we're working the hips and we're working the obliques here. We're working the muscles in the arm, the shoulder. Lots going on here. We can inhale as we open up and exhale as we lower down. Let's do a few more of these. And notice how this feels. How's this working in your body? Could you create a little more pressure on the bottom arm? Do you want to extend the leg a bit more? We have 2 more in us. Breathe as we move. Last one here. Nice job. All right, let's swing our legs in front of us. We'll come around and do that all on the other side. So again, as we arrive here, let's not collapse down. Let's have some space, ear to shoulder. Knees are angled a bit forward. One option, just doing the clamshell. Next option, lifting the hips and doing the clamshell and lowering down. Other option, lifting the hips, clamshell, and extend the leg, close the clamshell and lower down. So what seems right to you? Maybe you're alternating. Pushing down with that forearm, lifting that leg up, lowering yourself back down. Notice how that bottom side waist is working to lift you up, to hold you up here. So it's a core exercise as well as working the muscles in the limbs. So let's do a couple more. Clamshell and extend and lower, and clamshell and extend. And last one here, lift, open, extend, close, lower down. Nice work. Let's make our way around now to all fours. As we arrive here, get those knees right under the hips, wrists under shoulders. Take a moment to just connect with the feeling of your spine. Can you make your spine a little bit longer as you're looking straight down at the floor, the back of the neck long? From here, let's take a breath in. And with our exhale, we'll start to round the low back, the mid back, the upper back. Let your head drop down. Maybe take your hips back an inch or two. And then rock forward and come back to your long neutral spine. Then lifting the tail up, letting the belly and chest sink a little bit. Draw the heart forward. Inhale, look forward. And then exhale back to your neutral spine. Go ahead and round again and move in any way that feels right for you. Some people like to move a little side to side or a little front to back. And then move into extension or arching. Again, moving in any way that supports you, that feels nice for your body at this point of your morning, of your practice. So one more time, cat and cow, any way you like. And then as you transition back to all fours, let's just take a moment and come onto our knees and just shake out your wrists a little bit. So we're going to put a little weight on the wrists here. If that is too much for you, you're welcome to just come onto your forearms, and you just would have to modify this movement maybe by lifting a knee instead of doing what we're going to do. So if you can put the weight on the hands, the wrists, one option is going to be to just curl the toes under and hover and hold a hover with your knees a little bit off the floor. The next option is going to be to do a little tap, one hand to the opposite knee, and then other hand to the opposite knee. So it's like instead of a bear crawl, we're doing a bear tap. And ideally, we're going to keep our knees close to the floor and keep our hips facing the floor. So we're not really turning our hips side to side. We're kind of staying faced toward the floor, keeping those knees close to the floor. You might just be hovering your knees and then going back down. If you're on your forearms, you might just be lifting the knee and then putting it back down. So lots of options here. But if we're lifting the hand, putting it back down, there's a little weight bearing here, which is nice. So let's do a few more of these bear taps. And finding as much stability as you can. And then just hold your hover. And then go ahead and release your knees down. Let's take child's pose. So we're going to sit back on our heels. We'll let the forehead come to the floor, or maybe let it rest on our bent arms. Let's take a little time to check in here, breathing into the back body and allowing that breath to release and empty out. Doing that one more time. And then we'll lift our heads up and reach our arms way out in front. Let's make our way to knees, curl our toes under and lift up into downward facing dog. So grounding through the hands as we draw the hips up and back, letting the head just release and dangle here. Let's bend a knee and press a heel down, and bend the other knee and press the other heel down. And then bend both knees and see if we can draw those hips a little further up and back as we create a little more space between the shoulder blades. Deep breath in and out here. Then we'll walk our hands back towards our feet, lowering our heels down, ending up folded over bent knees. Nice big breath into the upper back. As the breath empties, grounding the feet down, then drawing the belly in, we'll start to roll ourselves up. Knees can be nice and soft here as we start to slowly unfurl the spine, stacking those vertebrae, one on top of the other, grounding down as we bring our heads up, and then grounding down as we reach our arms out and up and overhead. Big breath in as we stretch up. And as we exhale, we're going to swan dive. So arms can sweep out as we fold over. We can bring our fingertips to the floor, and then let's walk our hands out forward. We'll make our way into a straight arm plank. So as we hold our straight arm plank here, we could have knees off the floor, or we could drop the knees down. Let's get nice and long from the knees to the ears, or the ankles to the ears. We'll take a breath. As we exhale, we're going to try a little bend in the elbows, trying not to let the hips sink as we do that. So core is nice and engaged here as the elbows point back towards the feet. Let's take another breath here. As we exhale, we can let the knees come down, and let's lower onto belly. So the tops of the feet are on the floor. We're going to allow the chest to sink really close to the floor here as we slide the heels of the hands back a bit. As we hover our head off the floor, let's just slide the shoulder blades a little bit up towards the ears, slide them down toward the heels, and then just let them land nice and easy in the middle of the upper back. And then from between the shoulder blades, we're going to start to lift the chest up. And as we do that, let's press the heels of the hands back and pull the heart forward. So we're getting a lot of forward length here. We're lengthening the spine. Kind of sometimes like the idea of a turtle extending its head out of its shell. And then let's lower the chest back down. Starting the same way here, lifting the chest up, pulling the heart forward as we press the heels of the hands back. And then can we lift our hands up, lift our elbows up and squeeze in toward the midline here. And then we'll release our hands and release the chest. So we can do that again, coming up into baby cobra. Or if we like, we could come up a bit higher into cobra, your choice. Breathe in as you come up and breathe out as you come down. And then let's bring our forearms onto the floor. We're going to get our elbows right under our shoulders, and then we're going to slice down to lift the chest. We'll curl the toes under. We're gonna lift the hips up, and we could be on our knees in a kneeling forearm plank, or we could lift the knees up in a full forearm plank, or we could alternate one knee down at a time. As we're holding this forearm plank, heels pressed back, lengthening through the crown of the head, pushing down with the forearms, you might consider a few little teeny circles of your pelvis, stirring the pot in one direction. Maybe we'll go 4 times in one direction. So one more time circling around. It's a small movement here. And then we might circle the pot 4 times in the other direction. Not letting the hips drop, just coming up a little higher and then back to that aligned place. Maybe one more circle around. And then we're just going to hold here for a count of 5, 4, 3, doing great, 2, and last one. Let's lower ourselves down. As we come down, let's take the elbows wide and let our heads rest on our hands. Let the upper body relax, let the lower body relax, let the back relax. As you breathe in and out. And then start to press the front of your hips down. And let's go ahead and take one knee and bend the knee. And then that foot, flex that foot so the flat foot faces the ceiling. Can you press that hip down and lift that thigh a little bit up? Then make a muscle with your hamstring, kind of like you're showing off your bicep. Engage that hamstring and then start to take that leg back, 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 back. You can start to let the foot point a little more until you're holding that leg up from a really strong hamstring. Take a breath and then let that leg relax down. Let's do that with the other leg. Bend the knee, have that foot parallel with the ceiling. Press the front of that hip down to lift that thigh up off the floor. And your hamstring is firing already, but imagine that you're really making a muscle with your hamstring as you extend that leg back, 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 back. You can point the toe a little bit as you do that. Lift that leg up with the strength of that hamstring, taking a breath, and then relax that leg down. Now bringing your arms to your side, palms up, let's press both hips down and lift both legs up again with that strong back hamstring. Reach back through your fingertips as you pull your heart forward and inhale up into locust here. Strong locust. Think about length first. And then if you like, you could lift up a bit higher with the legs, with the chest, taking one more breath. And then relaxing back down. Nice job. Bring your hands next to your chest. Let's try this now. We're going to do some push-ups. So we have our hands right next to our chest, our low ribs, and we're going to try to keep the alignment of the body as we push up. So push up to knees and try to come up kind of as one unit. And then just bend and lower back down, chest into the floor. Do that again. Can you lift the body up kind of as one unit rather than kind of peeling yourself up? And then lower yourself back down. Again, you can kind of draw the belly in to help support this. Lift up and lower back down. All right, this time we're going to push up that same way. And then let's curl the toes under and lift up into plank. And then pull up and back to downward facing dog. Take a breath here. And we'll go back. So we're going into our straight arm plank. We can lower the knees down and then lower the body into the floor. We'll do that again. We're going to push up to knees, curl the toes under and lift the knees, and pull up and back to down dog, taking a breath, exhaling to straight arm plank, and then dropping to knees, and then lowering ourselves down. We're going to do it one more time. You can do it like we've been doing it, or can you just push straight up into plank, and then lift the hips up and back, and then lower into straight arm plank. And you can drop to knees, or you can just lower straight down. Great. All right, we're going to now push up and back to child's pose. So take your hips back, And this time, extended child's pose. So your arms are way out in front as your hips are way back. So hips are way back, your arms extending, reaching way out in front. Take a breath here. And then bring yourself back onto your knees. But now your arms are a little bit out in front of you rather than hands right under your shoulders. And we're going to lower onto forearms. Can you get your elbows lined up with your wrists and shoulders? It might be challenging, but just make an effort. And then straighten the arms. So lower onto your forearms. Try to get those elbows lined up with your wrists and shoulders. Press back up. Just a couple more here to strengthen the back of the shoulder a bit here. Challenging for those with some shoulder restriction. Your elbows might go wider, but see if you can work towards getting them aligned. Let's do 2 more of these. Lowering onto forearms and coming back up and lowering onto forearms and coming back up. All right, we're going to go back to child's pose. You might let your arms be out in front. You might let them support your head, or it might feel nice to take them behind your body. And if your forehead doesn't come to the floor, you could let it rest on a block here, if your block is nearby. So take a moment to breathe in and out here and check in. And then when we're ready, we're going to reach our arms out in front and make our way to downward facing dog. This will be our last down dog here. We'll breathe in and out. Again, we're going to walk our hands back towards our feet, lowering our heels down. Breathing in and out here. And then let's go ahead and bend the knees and lower the hips, and we'll sweep our arms forward. So we're sitting in a low chair with our arms out in front. Arms could stay here, or we could bring them up by our ears. Let's breathe in and out here. And then push into the feet and legs as you inhale and rise up and reach up. And exhale, arms down at your side. Great. All right. We're going to pick up our weights now. So you might have, a lot of times we start with a lighter weight and a heavier weight. And for these, I'm not sure. I'm going to start with my 5-pound weights. You might want your 3 pounds. We're going to do overhead press. So sometimes we're not super strong in our shoulders. So let's start with our feet right beneath us. And as we have our arms up by our shoulders, but let's think about our posture. So rooting down through the feet and standing tall. So we're going to just lift our heels up and lower our heels down. And as we lift the heels up, let's do an overhead press. And then lower the heels down and just come back to shoulders. So lifting those heels up, pressing up, lowering the heels down, bringing those arms down. Yeah, working the muscles in the legs and the ankles and pressing overhead. Yeah. All right. So we're going to actually inhale as the arms come down and exhale as the arms go up. Inhale to lower, exhale to come up. Inhale to lower, exhale to come up. Inhale to lower, exhale to come up. Let's do 4 more. All right, last one. Great, nice job. All right. Next, we're going to do some squats. So heels maybe a little slightly wider than your hips. Toes might be angled out a little bit. So we're going to come into squat position. We're going to make sure that our knees are tracking in the same direction as our toes. We can just drop our arms down. And then as we straighten up, we're just going to curl. So we're going to come into our squat and curl up. Come into a squat and curl up. Come into our squat and curl up. Yeah. Just waking up the legs here and working the biceps. Down, straightening up. Nice. The breath really doesn't need to be too prescribed here. We're just breathing. Lowering down. Now, as you come up, you could lift a knee. Come down, lift a knee. Come down, lift a knee. Come down, lift a knee. Just a little balance work here. Let's do 4 more. Squatting down, lifting a knee, squatting down, lifting a knee, squatting down, knee. Last one. Nice work. Great. All right, let's do some lunging. So we're gonna have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. The feet are hip distance apart. That back foot far enough back that you can bend that knee, and that knee goes toward the floor as the front knee bends right over the front foot. So bending both knees, we're gonna lift the arms out to the side, and then we're gonna straighten. So bending and lifting and straightening. Bending both knees and then lowering the arms. We can inhale and exhale. Back heel's going straight back. Feet are hip distance apart so we feel nice and stable. So if you have the heavier weights, these are long levers with your arms. So you need to switch out your weight at any time. If it's too easy, it's too hard. That's the nice thing about having a lighter weight and a heavier weight. Let's do 4 more. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Nice work. All right, step that back foot in. Take a big step back with the other foot. Far enough back that as that knee bends down, the front knee can bend right over the front foot. It's not forward of the front foot. And as both knee bends, again, lateral raise and lower. Lateral raise and lower. Yeah, those deltoids probably starting to fatigue here. Getting stronger. Let's do 4 more. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Good job. Step that back foot in. All right, so for this next one, it's the same arm motion, but it's going to be coming from a different angle. So if you're up for the balance challenge, let me just show you what we're going to do. We're going to tip forward and come into a balancing warrior, and then we're going to lift out to the side. So you might need to switch to a lighter weight. I might need to switch to a lighter weight. I'm going to grab my 3 pounds. If you are not up for that challenge of holding your balancing warrior as you lift and lower, you could use a chair here. You could tip forward, have one hand on the chair, same as the leg that's going back, and just lift one arm out to the side. All right, so you might be using 1 weight, you might be using 2 weights, but again, tip forward into a balancing warrior, start with your arms down, and then lift out to the side and lower down. So again, we're working the back of the shoulder here now, the rotators, rather than those big deltoids. So lift up and lower down, and lift up and lower down. Let's do 2 more. Lift up and lower down, and lift up, and then you can change legs. So come on up to stand. So you can work the other arm if you're using the chair. If you're using both arms, either way, tip forward, send that other leg back, and then lateral. And this is actually called a fly, and lower down. Fly those arms out and lower down. Lifting straight out and lower down. Lift them up, lower them down. Let's just do 2 more. Out and down and out. Good job. Come on up. Great. All right, next we're going to work the triceps. I think I'm going to go back to my heavier weights. And we're going to come into a wide stance. Let's turn the right foot in. We're going to turn the left foot out. Make sure that back foot and hip are turned in and that outer back foot is firmly planted. We're going to go ahead and bend this front knee and make sure we've got a nice distance here. Front foot, back foot, feeling the weight in both feet. And then straighten that leg. So we're going to take our two weights. We're going to reach our arms up and overhead. And then we're going to bend the elbows so that the arms are behind us. Now, the thing about this movement here is a lot of times we arch the back or lift the chest or drop the head back. Can you kind of knit your ribs in here? So the movement is going to be from the arms. The arms are going to press up and bend back. You can put the weights together. All right, so we're going to bend the knee. And then as we straighten the leg, we're going to press up. We're going to bend the knee, bend the elbows, straighten and press up. Bend back, straighten and press up. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. We can inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Trying to keep those ribs a little bit knit so we're not arching the back as the arms go back. Let's do 4 more. 4 and up. And 3 and up and 2 and up and last one. Hold it up and then just bring your arms down in front. We're going to change sides. So turn your feet forward. Now you can either switch to a heavier or a lighter weight if it was too easy or too hard. So turn your back foot in, turn your other foot out. If you're up for a challenge and if it's hard, maybe hard is right for you today. Maybe hard is not right for you today. So as you bend into that front knee, feel that back foot firmly planted and then straighten. So let's take those weights, reach the arms up and overhead. As we bend the elbows back, check in to make sure you're not pushing your ribs forward. Knit those ribs in a little bit. All right, so with the elbows bent, we're going to bend the front knee. And then as we straighten, we'll press up. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. We can inhale as we go up, exhale as we bend. Let's do 4 more. And 3 and 2. Last one. Nice work. All right, come on up, bring them in, lower them down, bring your feet forward, and let's walk our feet together. So we're gonna set our weights down now, and we're gonna continue our focus on hamstrings. And this is where we're gonna need our 2 blocks. So this next one can be done with 2 blocks. It could also be done with your chair. So I'll show you. I'll show you how you would do it with the chair first, and then I'll show you how you do it with the block. So basically with a chair, it's very similar to what we did a little bit ago. We're gonna lean forward, take one leg back, and you would just put one hand on the chair, and come up, and then lean forward, take the other leg back, and then come up. So with 2 blocks, you just need 1 block. Sorry about that. You just need 1 block. So same idea, we would just lean forward and you gotta not block, run into a wall like I just did. We're gonna lean forward and we're gonna just set that block down and then come up. And then same leg, we're gonna lean forward and pick the block up. And then we're gonna do that with the other leg. You're gonna lean forward, set the block down, leave it there, and come up. And then lean forward, pick the block up, and come up. So going back to that first leg, as you set the block down, just set it in a different direction. So maybe across your body. Lean forward, put that block down, and come up. And then go back and pick it up, wherever you set it down. And then same thing with your other leg. Lean forward, the other leg goes behind you, set that block down maybe across, which is challenging for me, and then lean forward and go back and pick it up. All right, so now set it maybe off to the side. If you're using the chair, maybe touch different parts of the chair. So lean forward, set it off to the side and come up. And then lean forward, go back and pick it up and come up. Same thing with the other leg. Lean forward, set it off to the side and come up. And then lean forward, reach back and pick it up and come up. We're going to do it one more time. You can set the block anywhere you like. You could even try setting it behind you. Lean forward, set that block down and come up. Lean forward and pick that block up. And second side. Lean forward, set that block down and come up. Lean forward and pick that block up and come up. Nice work. All right. We are going to make our way to sitting down and we'll use our one block here. So let's set that block down on our mats and we're going to sit on it. All right. So we're going to feel that block underneath our sitting bones and potentially really feel our sitting bones. So we can root our sitting bones down into the block. And as you do that rooting down, can you feel how that can help you align your spine nice and upright here from that rooted quality of the sitting bones? So connect with this line of the spine as you bring your right hand behind, as you bring your left arm across. So sometimes you bring the left arm across, you lose that line of your spine. But really try to keep that line of your spine and then spiral around that line of your spine to the right. Let your ribs, your chest, your shoulders spiral around, let your head spiral around. But then as we're spiraling around to the right, let's take that right hip bone and draw it back towards the midline. So we have some action and resistance here. And then as we hold this twist, let's take some deep breaths in and out. Let that breath move in and down. And then allow that breath to fully empty and release. Maybe as it releases, a little deeper twist. So a nice full deep breath in and down. And then a nice full emptying, releasing out. One more time like that. Deep breath. And then unwinding yourself, reconnecting with that quality of the upright spine. Then we'll go the other way. So let your fingertips reach behind, let your arm come across, and can you spiral around that line of your spine, ribs, chest, shoulders, head. But as you're spiraling around to the left, can you bring that left hip bone and draw it back in toward the midline as the upper body spirals the other way. And then deep breaths, nice full deep breaths in and down. Nice big exhalations, emptying all the way out. So there's a little added movement with this deep breathing, which is quite beneficial for releasing tension in the body, for dropping into a slightly deeper twist. So one more deep breath in and out. And then releasing and unwinding back around. Great, we're gonna come off of our blocks and we're gonna make our way to lying down. I'm just gonna check in here and re-mute you all. There we go. Okay. And then make your way to lying down. Go ahead and hug one knee in. Let's hug the right knee in and extend the left leg out on the floor. So that left leg, kind of bounce the knee a few times and then let that leg just really melt into the floor. In fact, I'm sure if this would work. If you have a light weight nearby, can you just rest it on that straight leg thigh? If it doesn't, stay there, or if it's not comfortable, you don't have to. But I want you to have this sensation of that left thigh really staying down, like not like that left leg being heavy. Imagine that weight was a big, heavy sandbag. So that leg is really going to stay down. And that leg's going to stay down as the right knee hugs in ever more in towards the body. So if that leg is down, you may feel a little opening in the front of the thigh, the front of the hip. And then let's open that knee out to the side as we breathe in. We'll bring the knee back and cross it over the midline, hug it up towards the opposite shoulder. You might lose your weight, that's okay. Take a breath. And then bring that leg back. We'll lift the leg up in the air, holding behind the thigh. Let's go ahead and flex that foot. And then point the toe. Can you squeeze the toes, scrunch the toes to work the muscles of the feet? Then wiggle that out a little bit. Again, big flex, heel goes up, toes pull towards you. Big point, and then squeeze the toes. And then wiggle it out a little bit. Let's now slide our hands up the back of the leg. You can lift the head up if you like. Get a nice big stretch in the back of the leg to whatever level feels right for you. Breathe in and out here. And then go ahead and bend that knee, release your head down. If the weight is still on your leg, take it off. And then we're going to change sides. So we're going to hug the left knee in, straighten the right leg out. If you like that idea of the weight, you can bounce the knee and just let the right leg be heavy. You might, if that worked for you, put the weight on that thigh. Just to reinforce this idea that that right leg is not going to lift up at all, even as you hug the left knee in closer, closer, and closer. And then we'll open that left knee out to the side as we breathe in. We'll bring the knee back. We're going to grab that knee and hug it across the midline, hug it up towards the opposite shoulder, breathing into that outer hip. And then bringing the knee back, we'll lift the leg up. Let's clasp behind the thigh. We'll push the heel up and pull the toes towards us. Then we'll stretch the toes up. And then let's squeeze and scrunch the toes. So big stretch in the top of the foot, working those muscles in the feet. Then we'll wiggle that out a little bit. Let's do it again. Heel goes up, toes pull down. Then toes point up. And then squeezing, scrunching the toes. And then releasing that. Let's slide the hands up the back of the leg, lift the head up, get whatever sort of stretch feels right for you at this point as you breathe in and out. And then you can release that leg down. If you have the weight on your leg, just set it aside. We're moving into our final relaxation now. If you want to take a big stretch, like you're waking up in the morning, or do one other kind of movement, go right ahead and do so. And then when you're ready, you can start to transition to your final relaxation. So that might mean putting on a layer, putting on some socks, covering up with a blanket, putting something under your head or under your knees. So taking a little time to set yourself up so that you can find a way to be comfortable so that you can relax. So I'm very convinced of this proposition that there's benefit in inviting the muscles in the body to relax after they have been worked substantially. So I think this time for relaxation after any major workout is ideal for muscle repair, for restoration. So this time here is quite valuable in my opinion. We're going to allow the muscles in the feet and the legs to release and relax into the floor. We're going to let the muscles in the belly soften and release and give the weight of the hips to the floor. We can let the weight of the upper back, shoulders, and arms relax down into the floor, softening the palms and the creases of the elbows. Softening the area around the heart. We'll let the head be heavy, resting back. And invite the forehead to soften and smooth. Allow the eyes to relax. Let the jaw release and the throat soften. We'll just spend a little time here letting the body be, and the mind be relaxed, letting the mind be like the body, resting, relaxed, open. There are many parts of us that spend much of the day in a clenched posture, in a posture of tension or tightness. And this final pose here is an opportunity to let the muscles settle into their relaxed state, their natural state. The state that we were in as a child before we developed these habits of tension. And we spend so much of our day with our mind just going nonstop. This too is an opportunity to give the mind a break. Let it rest. Let it be open and free. So we arrived in our relaxed posture kind of late this morning. If you'd like to spend a little more time here, please feel free to just close your device and stay longer. If you need to be done, you might begin opening your eyes, bending your knees and putting your feet on the floor. Gently rolling to your side, supporting your head, bringing your knees in, taking a moment or two here to transition. And eventually making your way up to seated, finding a way to sit comfortably. Closing out our practice by bringing our hands to heart. Taking these final moments for reflection, connection, and or gratitude. I appreciate you all making time for yourselves for this practice. May it not only benefit ourselves, but hopefully allow us to be of more benefit in the world as we move forward today. So thank you for being here. Peace. And the recording, if you want to come on and say hello or goodbye, you're welcome to do so.